our daily discourse, and this morning we focus our attention on whistleblower protection. Around the world, those who expose corruption and wrongdoing often face serious risks. That's despite efforts to strengthen legal safeguards. What can be done to better protect whistleblowers, and what lessons can countries learn from international best practice? To discuss this, we're joined by Dr. Dimitrios Kafteranis, who is Assistant Professor of Law at Coventry University. He's a co-founder and director of research at the European Whistleblowing Institute, whose work focuses on the legal protection of whistleblowers in the European Union. Dr. Kafteranis, thank you so much for speaking to us. So when we talk about international best practice, how would you characterize that? What have you seen? Where are we still lagging behind, and where have we improved?
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for the invitation. So talking about whistleblowers, what we have seen recently as a best practice is the European Union Directive on the protection of whistleblowers. The directive encompasses many of what we call international best practices, so a broad definition of the whistleblower. You can report internally, externally, or to the media, and then a good set of protections. Then depending around the globe, sorry, I'm sorry. We can see, for instance, in the United States that financial rewards are working and they have provided a lot, they are providing protection, also financial protection. But as you said at the beginning, we are still lacking awareness and effectiveness of the current whistleblowing frameworks.
Now, just going
Yep.
back in time, looking at some of the major historical moments. I mean, one is thinking about Edward Snowden, is thinking about the Lux leaks, the Panama Papers. Has the attitude, especially from institutions and governments, changed from seeing these whistleblowers as defenders of democracy rather than disruptors of state?
Yeah, that's a very good point. What we have seen, for instance, with LuxLeaks, Swiss leaks in Europe is the directive. So back in time when I was doing my PhD, the directive was not even something the European Union was considering. But given all the scandals, the European Parliament pushed forward. Now, fortunately, while we have seen so many scandals, if we go back to time in time with Pentagon Papers, we still shoot the messenger instead of looking at the message. So we're still concerned about who is the whistleblower, why this person did it, what were the motives. There are always conspiracy theories. While the most important is what these people told us. And for instance, in LuxLeaks, SwissLeaks, and so many other scandals, Cambridge Analytica, we have seen a lot of negative consequences for the society, which unfortunately uh, governments may overlook. And it's a very good point that we talk about whistleblowers as defenders of democracy, but lately we have made whistleblower another procedural tool for compliance, transparency purposes. So in my research, I believe that whistleblowers lost this public interest defenders, and we are going into an enforcement tool where whistleblowers can report and may be protected. So I believe the scandals have given us a good lesson. There were things have changed in some countries or in the European Union, but still I think we're a bit behind of protecting the person who reports.
So, we have seen that most countries have some form of whistleblower protection, something around in the region of 150, I believe. But we still see people facing retaliation. And I'm wondering if it's no longer a case of legislative ingenuity. Is it more about law enforcement?
I totally agree. What we have seen, for instance, it's been now 5 years. We have the directive, and for instance, every member state of the European Union has a whistleblowing law with positive and negative elements, of course. But what we miss most of the times is that we have a legislative framework. It can be improved, yes, but in my opinion, we lack awareness. So people who have to apply the law, most of the times they don't know the law. And then we have a cultural problem also. We have some bias. It can be historically reasons. It can be that, we don't want the rats, the snitsies, in our workplace. So I do think what we lack is awareness, cultural awareness also, training, but also law enforcement. So the enforcement of the law is staying behind. Sometimes we have authorities, they are trying to apply the law, they cannot apply the law, or they are not independent. What I'm always arguing is that we need independent whistleblowing authorities where governments, ministers, no one can intervene and they can do their job properly. So you're totally right, and we are trying to promote these changes in order to make the whistleblowing framework work.
Now, just in
Mm.
terms of the research that you're doing, what you're seeing, and obviously the result of weak witness protection is silence. So that means I'm sure there is a lot of corruption and wrongdoing that is happening around the world simply because whistleblowers fear for their protection. Where are there still gaps? And is there enough political will to inculcate better protection for whistleblowers in the laws?
Yeah, so for me, the first gap is how authorities they apply the law and how we protect the whistleblower. So if we think if I report something, in order to be protected, I need to go to the court. So if my employer fires me, I'm not automatically whistleblower until a court, labor court, administrative court, depends the country, will come and say, okay, this person is a whistleblower. Then what is really the protection? Of course, there are labor law protections, protections from liabilities. The issue is if someone loses their job, if someone then loses their reputation, because the law may provide some compensation, some damages, and that's it. We should also think that whistleblowers, they have to pay, depending on the country, so much money for legal fees, for lawyers, and they are not always covered by the country they are in. So, in my view, what we really need is independent whistleblowing authorities where the whistleblower can go, uh, address the complaint, and then this authority can provide some financial help and some psychological help. There is an example, for instance, in Belgium, where for the federal employees, they are providing some limited but still financial and psychological support. So at least I'm not alone. And of course, I'm not alone in understanding what's happening. We're not all lawyers. Sometimes, even myself, I cannot understand if something is a wrongdoing. Now, when it comes to political will, unfortunately, we see, at least I will talk about Europe, Europe, we see a decline in the rule of law, we see a decline in transparency. So I'm not really certain that governments would be very favorable in really protecting the whistleblower and providing them with all the means, an independent authority, somewhere they will get some advice, they will get financial help, they will get also psychological help, and potentially they can get a new job or they can get their job back. In the current climate, unfortunately, I'm a bit of a pessimist, but you never know.
Well, we thank you for your time. Wish we could chat some more. Dr. Dimitrios
Thank you.
Kafteranis, he speaks to us live from Greece this morning. He's assistant professor of law at Coventry University and co-founder and director of research at the European Whistleblowing Institute, just speaking to us about where the legal process is around the world on the protection of whistleblowers.
Call us on +27 63 406